Hey YouTube, welcome back to Bad to the Stone. Today, Pebbles is getting some new tail lights, these Oracle flush lights. What do you think of those?
I think they look pretty flush. Well, definitely a slimmer look to this body, and it'll catch less pebbles and rocks, so probably better off when we're off-roading.
That's the goal. I mean, these definitely stick out a long ways. Those are going to be nice and tucked right into the body line. And not only that, but these are some of the newer ones from Oracle, so they're tinted black. So I think with our matte black stripe and hood, I think those are going to blend in there pretty nicely with what we have going on.
All right, and not too bad of an install, right?
The install's not bad. We already unbolted the fenders since ours are bolt-on instead of the quick release. Anybody else, you got the quick release fenders. You just have to get to this little tab back here, I'll show you. But honestly, it's remove a couple of body panels. The rest of this light is gonna just come out of here. The other thing that's new in this video is these ones just have the white backup lights, and you've got a few different things you've got to do in Forscan. We actually purchased the amber and white module to put in here. So before we mount these, we're gonna change out that module with the amber and white, and then there's only one Forscan change that we have to make. And we'll still retain a amber turn signal, white backup lights, and obviously red tail lights and brake lights. I haven't seen any videos out there on putting in that upgraded amber white module, so hopefully you found this one and it'll give you what you need. We'll talk about the instructions and switching out that module in a minute. Right now, even Oracle doesn't have a video on it. There's just some printed instructions, but it shouldn't be too bad. We'll go hit the bench here in a minute and knock that out.
All right.
For those of you new to the channel, hey, appreciate you checking it out. Would love it if you hit that subscribe button. You can check out some of our other videos on here on the different mods and upgrades we have for Pebbles. And we got more mods coming, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Always got new stuff going on.
Keep watching us. We've got some really cool things to share.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's head over to the bench. Let's start putting in the new modules, and then we'll come back over here to Pebbles and start swapping out a taillight. Okay?
It's like a plan.
See you at the bench. All right, not super scientific since it's not dark outside, but just in the garage with no lights on. Wanted to get a sense of how much light we're getting out of those factory backup lights. So there's sort of what that reflection looks like off the garage door. And that's just that factory backup light on. Got everything else in the vehicle turned off. Get a sense out this side. So we'll see how that throw on that white garage door compares when we get those Oracles on there and see what that looks like in reverse. Because that's part of it. It's supposed to get a significantly brighter backup light, which will be kind of nice. All right, so we are still gonna have to do one Forscan change. If you've watched the Oracle videos on what you need to change with Forscan to use the flush mounted lights with the signature LED lighting on the Bronco, it's, I believe, 2 or 3 different things. We are just going to have to disable the LED Turn Outage. That's the only Forscan change that we need to do for this. So we'll talk through that when we get these installed and we're ready to adjust that before we test them. So I've got an OBD Link EX. I've got a laptop here with Forscan on it. You will need those if you want to use these flush mount lights with signature LED lighting like what we've got going on here. So we'll get to that. Here's what comes. You get this nice box from Oracle. It does come with the instructions on how you're going to do it, although it doesn't come with the Forscan information. If you're not using the added amber white module, you can watch the video to get all the instructions you need. If you're adding the amber white module, then you're just gonna have to trust me with the Forscan instructions because I've already emailed back and forth with Oracle, and they're the ones who told me that we only have to make that one change to disable the LED Turn Outage. The amber white modules come with a different set of instructions to bolt those in. You get an extra pigtail that we're gonna run, so this you can print out from their website online. Here's what the tail lights look like. They come pretty nicely packaged in here. They had a little film of plastic over top of them as well to keep them from getting scratched or anything like that. So we're gonna get these flipped over on the bench. We've got 4 screws to take out, and then we'll get our modules swapped over. So let's get these out of the box. All right, the other thing, since we are using LED signature lighting, we don't need this extra resistor on here, so we can take that off, and then we can ignore all the additional instructions that come about how to mount and do everything you need to with that resistor. So this we can just take off of there. I think I'll probably toss a piece of heat shrink tube over top of those just to make sure that those are completely sealed off. Let me go grab a heat gun and some shrink tube and we'll just close those off real quick. right, I think that's a good little add, just to make sure those don't find their way into contact with something that they are not supposed to. All right, these other modules that we are going to add. So here is the new bolt-in amber white module. Comes with one extra wire. We're going to reuse the same plug that's already on the back of these. And then we do need to run that one extra pigtail. And we've got instructions on how to do that. So first, we just need to unplug these. Take a Phillips screwdriver. We've got 4 screws to take out here. And then pretty simple, we're just going to pull this off the back. All right, that's it. That just lifts right out of there. And these do look like they're different, so... Well, that one matches what I've got here, so we can go with that. I guess it's the same either way. They just go one way up or down, so... I don't think there is a left or right. I think they're the same. Going into plastic, don't want to go too overly tight on those. Just make sure it's held in place. All right, we're going to plug that module back in. I'll probably zip strip a little bit to clean this up here in a moment. And we are going to stick this into pin number 5. All right, I'm trying to see where they're numbered here. Can clearly see in the picture that we are going beside the blue wire. It does also say slot number 5, and I'm just not seeing where it necessarily tells me that. But that's all right. We're gonna go and reach in from the front with a little pair of needle nose pliers, and we're gonna grab this piece of plastic, and we're gonna pull that out. That came out very easy. So we're gonna pull that out, get in here from behind, and I'm just looking. All the other wires have the smooth flat spot pointed towards the middle and have the folded over flat spot towards the outside. So I'm just gonna kind of copy that. Yep, you can see there's a little bit of a button bump on the bottom that looks like it lines up with a little slot in here that's gonna hold that in place. Okay. And it did. It kind of felt it click in once it's in there, and that locks in place. And now we need to get this back on there. All right, that one's a little twisted and a little further out. There we go. Get it lining up with all our other ones. And I say just be gentle, pushing that back in, make sure it's lining up with everything. And voila, we've got that one in there. All right, let me go grab some zip strips and we can clean this up a little bit on here just to make sure that we've got that all buttoned up clean. And just kind of using the bumps here on this yellow plug to keep my zip strips from sliding around. Gives a good little anchor point. I think that is pretty clean. We're not using that piece. I think we can even zip this in here and out of the way too. All right, that should be a pretty nice clean wire wrap up in there in behind our tail light. We get that installed. You can clearly see whites only. You can see the amber in the back there. So we won't be able to mix them up, but I'm gonna put this out of the way just in case. And let's go ahead and repeat that process here on the other side. I guess it's pretty hard to mix it up. You got a big yellow wire coming out the back too, so be pretty hard to confuse them. All right, let's get this one knocked out. We'll be ready to start putting these on the truck. All right, so just knocked out the exact same setup here on the other one. And also noticed, Oracle put some tabs on here, so they make it really hard to be able to put this in the wrong way around. It's got 3 tabs to line it up to make sure you're gonna do that. So there is one difference. This one is the driver's side tail light because it does have these spacers on here. So the spacers, make sure they go to the driver's side. Passenger side does not have those. So we're gonna go start our install on the driver's side since we don't have a tailgate and some other things to mess with. Should be a little bit easier, but again, bolting in these modules, running that wire, just like the instructions, that is a pretty simple process. So no issues with that. And now we've got these white amber modules instead of just white. All right, let's head over to the back of the truck and start pulling it apart so we can get this bolted in. All right, so the Oracle video on this install is really good. We're just gonna follow the exact same steps. I've already watched the video, so I'm just gonna follow along here on paper, make sure I don't lose track of where I am, but it should be pretty straightforward. We're gonna pull out these 3 body panel clips right here. Let's see, get those 3 out. I already have the fenders off since mine aren't quick release. Get this body panel off here at the bottom. Once that's off, pull the rest of this body panel out, and then we should have access to all the bolts we need to get this off of there. If you haven't messed with these little clips yet, my wife's not a fan. You have to unscrew super gently to get this little middle screw to come out. And then once you get the middle screw to start backing out, then the rest of the clip just pulls. But sometimes you have to hold a little pressure, keep the other piece from spinning. But the lighter you can unscrew is usually the secret to getting them to come apart. Yeah, these ones are all cooperating quite nicely here. All right, I'm just double checking. So there's like a big hard piece of plastic here, but we are just pulling the piece off of the front of that, I believe, to get the part we want. Yep. There we go. All right, so you got these big white clips that are pulling off the front. The rest of the black stays, and then this piece, same thing, is gonna come off the front. So there's a chunk of black plastic. Don't try reaching your fingers all the way around and pulling that. You're just pulling off the front. And then it kind of tucks in to some bumps and tucks in around the bottom. That's why you've got to pull your fender off, because that lip is in there behind your fender. All right, let's make sure we go in order. So we got that piece off. We got the lower panel off. Lower panel exposes our 2 bolts. Okay, now to get this whole piece off is gonna come with that. So let's get our 10 millimeter out here from underneath. Another 10 millimeter around the side. All right, actually did 2 bolts over there. We got A and B over there. Did this bottom bolt right here and remove this inner trim piece to expose 2 more bolts. Okay. All right. Yep, that does just pop off. 3 more of those white clips holding that on. And now we've got some 8 millimeter bolts down in there. All right, bolt got hung up there. There it is. It's kind of a little bit of a pull and an untuck. And we need to get this. There we go, unplugged. Just a push on the side and it's out of there. We are definitely decreasing our weight pretty considerably with our other ones that we're gonna drop in here. That's for sure. I'm sure you've already seen the size comparisons, but wow. Definitely pretty notable weight difference there as well. All right, move the inner trim piece. All right, we've got to do a little snip job on that. We'll come back to that. Get the other 2 bolts loose, unplug, remove. The resistor piece we don't have to mess with. connect the plug from the new flush mount, and install all remove bolts from the previous steps. Reinstall inner trim piece. Okay, I think there's a little clip we need off of this other one too. We need this clip from up top here. Okay, so that wasn't on the paper instructions. I remember that from the video. We need that little clip. We do need that on there for sure. And we need to make sure that we get these things, our little spacers, in here. I don't want to push those through when they're in, so I think I'm gonna let that kind of hold the bolt in place there. Okay. Make sure you hear a good solid click when you're putting that together. And honestly, just trying to figure out where that top clip goes. I guess maybe it hooks on the actual body panel up there. I think I see where this little metal one pops into something. Yeah, not really clear what that's actually hooking to. I think maybe it hooks into the top of the fender there. All right, good click. That's not going to do anything on this new one, so let's skip it. All right, I think I see why the spacers are needed, but those spacers are so squishy that it's just lets this thing push in and collapse if you try to tighten it. So I think I'm gonna go find something better for some spacers here. I've got these 1/8 fender washers from putting these other fenders on. Let me see how those will do. I think it'll give me the squish I need. It's going to be a little tough to hold everything in place, but let's see how that'll do. All right, I think we'll leave it like that until we get this other one in and we can test all the lights. I put those 2 of those 1/8 washers in behind. I think that lines it up pretty close. We'll see how it looks on the bottom, but this was just so squishy that tightening that up, I don't know what this spacer was supposed to do, but it didn't seem to be holding that light in the right place at all. So I think that having those little body washers, those fender washers in there is a much better job at holding that in. Seems pretty lined up. Get a little close up here with the other phone and y'all can decide what you think here. All right, so we got that first one installed, tucked in there nice and flush. I think on this body line right here, it's maybe in still just a hair, but like I say, these little squishy spacers, it wasn't gonna get tight at all. So I dropped a couple of 1/8 fender washers, so 2 of them, so about 1/4 inch of rubber in behind each of those bolts to hold them out in place. And I think that's gonna work better. So let's go ahead and get the one bolted into the passenger side. Let's test out all these lights after we make our Forscan change before we put all the rest of this back together. All right, so more or less the same on this side, except I only see 2. Nope, third one's down below. Okay, third one's underneath, almost missed it down there. So we still have 3 of these that we're pulling out. All right, we've got those out of there. There we go. All right, a little tougher to get that pull you need there. All right, it's a little tougher getting your fingers in there, but overall, that still came off. Got this one out of there. Get our 2 10s from over here. A long one on the top. Short one on the bottom, and then we'll get our, oh, that one's a 10 as well. Okay. Trying to pull the bottom and they all came out at once. That's fine. Now I still see spacers on the back of these, so I'm not sure why we don't need them on this side, but I guess we'll find out. And I'm still really baffled at what this thing does up here. Maybe it just kind of rests against the body up top. Maybe I do need to go put that on. I guess it doesn't hurt. There's a spot for it. Maybe we need to go put that back on that other side. All right, I was able to save some of the glue and swap those over from the other ones, so let me leave those things in place. Okay, I would say perfect fit on this side. That one's lining up with the body line better, so I guess definitely don't need the spacers over here. I'm gonna go put that top clip on the other side. No idea what it does, but what the heck. Seems to work on this one. Let's go put it on the other one. All right, I put a third one in behind there as well. Now I've got 3 of those 1/8 body washers, and that lines up, I think, a lot better. Well, 3 is such a perfect fit on the top. We're just gonna do 3 on the bottom too. There we go. Yeah. I think that makes for a much nicer fit. So 3 fender washers on top and bottom. That makes for a pretty much perfect alignment like what we got on the passenger side. All right, I would say we are ready to get in there and try out some Forscan. Make sure we disable what we need to. We've got a couple other Forscan things we will do all at the same time while we're in it. God, those look awesome. All right, so I wouldn't consider this a full Forscan tutorial. We're gonna go through the basics of it. So I've used Forscan once before on my F-150. So I have the software loaded. I already have the extended license that I need, the 2-month free license. And I have the OBD Link EX, which is pretty much the only thing you have to pay for out of this whole deal. Purchased this off of the Forscan website, came through Amazon. So while I'm in here, this is the first time I'm plugging into the Bronco. So the first thing I'm gonna do when it starts up, I'm gonna save the configuration. It should ask me to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. And we are only going into the body control. Actually, we're gonna go into the body control module, and I am also gonna go into the ABS module. So first time I'm in each of those modules, I'm gonna go ahead and save those before I make any changes. So I'm gonna do 3 things while I'm in here today. Only one of them pertains to these Oracle lights. And again, we're gonna go into the body control regular module, not the built as. We're gonna find that rear LED turn outage. We're gonna find that and we're gonna change it from enabled to disabled. That's the only thing we're doing related to these Oracle lights. So that's the only Forscan change you need to make because we have the additional amber white module in there. While I've got Forscan connected, I'm also gonna go ahead and add my sport goat mode, and I'm gonna remove the double honk when you leave the cabin with the keys. or leave the cabin with the keys are in it. So those are the three things I'm going to do, but again, only one of these relates to these Oracle lights. I'm going to plug it in for the first time. If you need more on how to use Forscan the first time, I would encourage you to go out there and watch some additional videos on it. But the basics, get the Forscan software, get the link, get the 2-month free license that you need, and we're going to have the vehicle in the on position. It's not going to be running, but it will have to be in the on position. Hook it up to the computer, make sure it connects, finds the vehicle, make our changes, save as we go, hit right, cycle the key on and off, and we should be pretty much done. I'll sort of talk through it here as I'm doing it, and I'll show you some of the on-screen, just exactly where that rear LED function is. That one I will show here, since that is the one that relates here for these Oracle lights. So let's go ahead and get this Bronco turned on. Our OBD link is, I've got a green light over there, so that is plugged in. So I need to go and hit. All right, so I'm gonna hit connect to vehicle. Please make sure the following initial conditions are met. Ignition key is on. The switch is available. Vehicle's not moving. Okay, I do not have the switch on this type of connector, so I'm good. We're gonna hit OK. Adapter's not optimized. So this one, I have to do this every time for this adapter. Would you like to adjust the baud rate now? I'm gonna hit yes. It only does it for this one time it's plugged in, but let's do that. All right, it's gonna take a minute to read this, and I should get a pop-up that asks me if I want to save everything, which I will hit yes to. All right, it's taking a minute because it's reading it for the first time. All right, would you like to save the profile for this vehicle? You may change the profile name. It's got the end of the VIN on there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit yes. All right, so we have got that saved. We are connected. Now I need to go into the configuration and programming section of Forscan. So I'm gonna click into the configuration, and we'll do the lights first. That's the main piece we're doing here. So I wanna go to the body control module, the regular, not the built as. So I'm looking for body control module. I'm not gonna do the as built, I want the regular one. So I'm gonna click on that, and then I'm gonna go down here to the bottom, and I'm gonna hit the play button. So now it is going to run that module. So I wanna go ahead and save the log on this before I make any changes. All right, again, no expert on Forscan. I think when you're in the built as modules, there's a select all, and then you can save everything. When you're in the not built as, I'm not sure that there's a way to pre-save it other than what I did when I first turned it on. Let's go find what we need to find here. So I am looking for the rear LED turn outage. Rear LED turn outage. It is currently enabled. I need to get that to disabled. So I'm gonna click on that. I want to edit selected, and I need to change it from enabled 1 to disabled 0. Hit the check mark, and that should be disabled. So that's what I needed to do for the lights. While I'm in here, I want to find the double honk on leaving cabin. And I'm gonna go ahead and make that change as well. Okay, double honk on leaving the cabin, edit selected. I want to disable that as well. All right, so again, that's an additional change, nothing to do with these Oracle lights, but something I was interested in doing. And now we're gonna go to right. Please confirm these changes. I've made 2 changes. Double honk, disabled. Rear LED turn outage is now disabled. I'm gonna hit OK. Please cycle the ignition off and then back on. Okay, that's it for the Forscan for this Oracle piece. That should have taken care of what we needed to. So let's go ahead and get our assistant out here, and let's check if those lights are doing what they should be doing. The other piece I should cover before we do that, so again, we just made changes, we're in a module, so now we're done. Before we just exit out of here, then we need to make sure we stop this module before we leave it. So I need to stop this one. Takes me back to that front page. Service procedures were completed successfully. Then if you wanted to go do something else, you could go back into configuration and programming, the tab across the top, and then you can go into a different module, go do something else. So you wanna make sure you stop a module before you're in there, or before you go changing anything else, and exit out of it. All right, now we're ready to test these lights, see if they're working. All right, time to test this out, make sure everything works. Okay, go ahead and no brake, just power on. Okay, well, we've got tail lights. Go ahead, push on the brake pedal. Brake lights, go off. Back on the brake. Okay. Turn left. Oh, we got nice bright amber. Go right. Nice.
Hazards?
Sure, put the hazards on. Yeah, we got lots of blinking for hazards. Okay, now go ahead and you'll have to put your foot on the brake, but don't hit the start. Just put it into reverse. Woo! Okay, we got bright backup lights. All right. Now go ahead and start it up and let's just make sure that nothing's different when it's running. Yeah, I would say we're good. We get our trim back on. Test successful. What do you think of them?
Honestly, I didn't expect them to be so in line with the body, but yeah, it's great. That's a nice surprise.
Well, good. I'm glad you are pleasantly surprised. That's awesome.
Nice job.
All right, well, let me get the trim back together and then we can wrap this sucker up. And that's pretty cool that they're so dark, huh?
Yes, it all looks great. Chose very well.
Okay. Aha! I never did the snip thing. All right, I forgot to do the little snip thing on our pieces of plastic here. So that's the last thing we got to do is that little snip out of there to get these to go together. All right, I'm just going to use a pair of side cutters. Okay, we'll see if that's good. I may need to go get a razor knife to trim that down, but let's see. I think I'm just gonna trim that a little bit with a knife. All right, my little side cutters there just kind of rolled that up to a point, so just shave that off a little bit. Now, let's see if we're ready to get this thing together. There we go. All right, that popped right in there. No problem. We got a bolt that needs to go in the bottom. All right, these kind of go on top, pop around all these plastic points, and then after those are all in, then these two clips should come around over here. So, yep, should just kind of push right in there. And these ones come around and snap right in there. Oh, that is a pretty clean, awesome fit. You know, it's got a little bit of space on the top, but it matches up pretty much spot on with this other body piece. Yeah, that's nicely lined up in there. All right, those brights, or those reverse lights look pretty bright outside too. I'm curious, we'll drop the door here in a minute and get our comparison video to what those look like, because I definitely think we've got some increased brightness on reverse. Get this last side put back together. All right, we'll get in here and do our little snip again on this piece of plastic. And just get in there with a razor knife. Make sure we got all that out of there. And just got that notched out again like the other one. Yeah, I think I'm glad I put that extra spacer here on the bottom too to bring that out just a little more. That's lining up pretty good there. Nice. All right, don't want to forget we've got our little 3 push clips on the inside here on both sides. And there it is, reassembled. All right, if you got the quick release fenders, you're like 2 little snaps away from being completely done with the project. For us, we've got these bolt-on carbon fiber fender flares from Advanced Fiberglass Concepts, so it's gonna take me a few more minutes to bolt those back in place. No sense putting that on video. If you wanna see the whole video of the install of the hood and the forged carbon Sasquatch flares from Advanced Fiberglass Concepts, that's another video you can check out. So let me get those bolted back in place and then we will come back and wrap this one up. See you back in a minute. All right, so here is the same video with the Oracle backup lights on. Bronco hasn't moved, it's in the same place. I think we're definitely getting a little brighter spot there on the back. overall glow in the garage seems significantly more. I mean, it'll, yeah, back up here, definitely gets the whole thing going. Let's see what we got down this other side. Yeah, that is a pretty significant spot that we're throwing on the door. I mean, I can tell you that just from looking at them, they seem significantly brighter. But we'll do a little comparison. I'll put these two videos side by side and we can see what that looks like on the door. But that is the flush mount Oracle with the brighter backup lights installed.
Wow, this turned out really nice. Good job.
You like those?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with those too. They look cool. The black tint definitely goes in with the theme we've got going on here with Pebbles. So thrilled with how those turned out. So YouTube, that is a wrap on another video here in the Bad to the Stone shop. Honestly, installing those went pretty smooth. Adding this amber white module I think is pretty cool. Gives you way closer to what you normally had. On this driver's side where it had the spacers, obviously you saw I didn't like the little rubber tube spacers that they provided. I had some leftover fender washers, 3 of those, so 3/8 of an inch behind each of those on the driver's side, has that lining up just perfect in there. So I would recommend a little bit of a better spacer than what they provide, or maybe I just wasn't using it right. It was pretty squishy and I don't think it was gonna line up for me in there. That's it, those are installed. So what do you think we ought to do next?
Well, I'd love to get Sophie that stable platform in the back, and so she can ride easy with us. We've had her a couple times in the seat, and she's done well, but that whole place up, set up well.
Okay, I think that's what we'll do next. So tune in next time, and we're not gonna do the rear seat delete, but we're gonna just level it off back there, build a little platform for the back, put a nice heavy mat down, and we'll be good to go. All right, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll know when that next video comes out. And until then, hey, I hope you're out in your own Bronco, keeping it bad to the stone. We'll be here working on Pebbles, getting that next video out for you. And we got Bronco Rodeo coming up in a couple weeks too.
Yes, we do.
So we'll make sure we get you some footage of Bronco off-rodeo experience down there. So that's all that's coming up on the channel.
All right, we will see you soon.
Take care, y'all. Thanks for watching.